Texas is doing okay, but the rest of the nation needs help. And at
So Debbie, let's get into it. Can you give folks some background on iVoterGuide as a platform, a bit of history, what you guys do, why this is helpful to believers who are looking to make choices?
Yeah, well, a little bit of the history of iVoterGuide.com. So it's been around in Texas since 2008. And I describe it as a tapestry woven by God. It was not my idea. It was not something I created. But there was a gentleman who ran the actual Family Policy Council in Texas. So worked with the legislature, had been lobbying. I mean, knew those people in the Capitol. But he had that realization, that light bulb moment, and said, you know what? I've never voted an intelligent ballot from the top of the ticket to the bottom of the ticket, but I know what to look for. So he started gathering research in his county, which just happened to be Dallas County. He gathered campaign finance data on every candidate from top of the ticket to justice of the peace, and got their scorecards if they'd ever held office. He gathered endorsements. He sent every candidate a questionnaire. I mean, he was filling this binder with information. And then he realized that most people won't read that much information. So he gathered some friends around his conference table. He was very well connected, so you would probably recognize some of the names, gave them each a copy of the binder, and they graded every candidate. They then printed it and passed it out in churches. So this was before iVoterGuide began. But then on a parallel thread in that tapestry was a retired programmer. He'd worked for IBM, but had retired. He literally had served on his local school board, even though his kids went to private Christian school. And he had the idea, he said God gave it, of how to make a voter guide on the internet. But he didn't know how to do a voter guide. So God caused those two people to intersect. Jim called Richard and said, I want to do a voter guide in the internet. And Richard held up that 4-inch binder of paper and said, you mean you can put this on the internet? Jim said, yes. So they started, Jim would ask him what to do, where to look, what to find. And so iVoterGuide went live for the very first time in Texas in the 5 largest counties. And they covered, again, top of the ticket to the bottom. And with all that research and the evaluations, they did the same thing in the 2008 election, or 2008 and 2010 elections. And then they said, you know what? Texas is doing okay, but the rest of the nation needs help. And at that point, iVoterGuide went nationwide, covering federal races in all 50 states. And then in a handful of states, started at about 6, where we had, real good relationships with local organizations. We covered the statewide and the state legislative races. Every cycle, we kind of continued to add more. Advanced to 2024, and we covered federal races in all 50. We covered statewide races in 36 states and state legislative races in 32 states.